it's Cherie Lasoda at Dazzies, back at it. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to use the asset called PTF Grungy threads. To kind of set things up a bit, PTF stands for Pixel Tizzy Fit, which is a Daz artist, and the complete product name is PTF Grungy threads, and it's a kind of, shader set, really. That's probably the best way to describe it. Pixel Tizzy Fit also offers things like other clothing outfits, expressions, poses, and a lot more. So you can check out their store. I'll put a link in the description as well as a link to this particular product from the Daz Studio store. And also what you're looking at here on screen is the Verse Moi outfit. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, by Eon Soul. I'll also put a link in the description if you're interested in that one. And so now let's dive in. I've basically put in to the scene this outfit, and I have put in some, applied some shaders. So I applied some kind of a turquoise color for the top and a kind of white color, I guess, for the pants. I'm going to be using the pants particularly because there's just more surface area to look at. And I will say I'm not exactly 100% sure what the difference is between the shader sets section of this product and the shaders just the shaders section. I'm a little bit confused by that, and honestly, if you out there in the Etherverse understand what the difference is between those two, by all means, comment on this video. I would love to know. So some of this I'm not going to go over because this is a very robust, comprehensive product that has a lot of settings in it. So I'm not going to go in depth into the lie section, anything to do with adding lie, which is the layer image editor. And so first off, I just want to say with this product, when I first received it and started playing around with it, I did not understand that I had to create my own geoshell. If you're not familiar with geoshells, simply kind of sit on top of a product. So in this case, we're messing with the pants. So if I go to create new geometry shell, and then I choose parent to the selected item, which is the Verse pants. I basically want to stick it to that item so that it only affects that item. So now, as you can see, there is a geoshell inside of the pants area in your scene tab, and I'm going to have it selected. And the key for me, the reason why I kept screwing up this product and not understanding how it worked and getting frustrated, was I needed to go to the Surfaces tab and click on the actual surfaces that I wanted to adjust. So that's what I've just done here. And now I can start playing around. Now there's a lot of tips in this product, and the key, another thing that I had no idea was the case, you can double click on a lot of these. Let's see, scripts. Yeah, here we go. So the script section is actually images that explain a lot more about this product, particularly about the more complicated things like dealing with lie images and things like that. So you just double click on those and it opens up this screenshot type of thing, this image, I guess, with some screenshots of the steps you need to take in order to further adjust or further customize the look you're going for. So those are the things that I'm not going to go over today. I just want to show you the basics of how to use this product. All right, so you've got different options here. You've got ways to make your product dirty looking. There's splashes, stains, dripping, grimy, grubby, all of this kind of thing, splattered, dusty. Then you've got ripped, which uses the opacity to kind of cut things out of different spots in your product. Make sure you pay attention to the size of the product that you see in the images here, like these ripped denim. These are long pants. So the product I'm working with is long pants also. earlier up here, there's some that are like half pants, like to the knee. So if you can use that product if you've got like knee length pants, that kind of thing. So you want to look at the size of the shirt that you're using if you're checking out the shirt, so that you've got the right cutout sizing. So long shirts or short shirts, that sort of thing. And even here, you've got an even shorter shirt. So that's something to keep in mind. Oh, also, I did want to just mention, I'm using the Smart Content tab as opposed to Content Library to access this. So that's why if you're not super familiar with Smart Content and how it works, kind of just try and follow along. Let's work on dirty. So I've got the GeoShell and I want to select the surfaces under Surface tab so that I'm selecting the surfaces of the shell, not the actual outfit, not the pants themselves. So you have to create a geometry shell. You have to select the item you want to apply it to, which is the pants in this case. So you go to create new geometry shell and then hit accept, and that will parent it to the pants. Then you select the GeoShell itself, but the most important part is you have to select the same GeoShell in the Surfaces tab. I tend to forget to do that, and then I get confused on why things are not applying as they should. And you notice how it turned the pants that were basically white to like a super bright white. Well, that's okay, because we're going to apply grunge. And again, I'm still very unclear on why you would choose the options here in the shader sets section versus the shader section. But regardless, let's just try it and see how it goes. So first off, let's try the grubby. So I'm just going to double click on this shader and see what happens. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Let's try to see if we can change the color. So I'm going to go up here to this shader sets section and I'm going to choose one of these colors of dirt or whatever it is. So they've got blood, bleach, another blood. I guess one is dried or fresh. That's kind of nice. Then there's mechanical grease, real mud, and dirt that's dried. So I'm going to try the dried dirt and see what happens. Okay, so that did not work. So I'm going to come up here to the GeoShell and try this section next. To change the GeoShell opacity, okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. These are really helpful tips. Okay, so I'm going to, you see how it says actually use color presets from the main folder? So I think it's saying this main folder where you would touch the grungy threads and there's all these different colors. But in my case, I'm looking at these particularly because I want it to actually apply that color to the GeoShell that I created. And that is not working. So, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I actually have to stain the bottom. So now you see I've got that bright white stain and I have the original color that I had my pants in, which was a kind of chilled out white. All right, so now I've applied the GeoShell design that I want. In this case, bottom of the legs is stained. And then I want to pop over here, not to the ripped. I want to pop over down here to this, I think. So fabric under shaders, and I'm going to choose dirt. There we go. I've changed the color. So to clarify that as I was working through it, basically I applied a specific shape of dirt to the GeoShell. So you go to the GeoShell section, apply that, and let's try to apply a different one. Okay, I think that worked. It's kind of hard to tell on this fabric, but let me undo that for a second and try the dripping. Yeah, so that works too. And I'm hitting undo just to get rid of it quickly. The other thing you can do is, I'm going to do one that's really easy to see. So remember the tip about the opacity? Let me hover over that so you can see it. To change the GeoShell opacity, experiment with cutout opacity. So what they're talking about, if you're not familiar with that, is under the Surfaces tab, where you are right now, or where you should be, you just type in, whoops. Oh dear, I moved the camera. Sorry about that. It wasn't actually in here. You click into this search bar area at the top of your Surfaces Editor tab, and then you type in I just type in OPA because I know it goes right to that, but you can type out the full word opacity or cut out opacity. Either way, you're going to find it. So here we are. It's either one is full opacity, everything is opaque, and then as you move down in the slider, you'll have it less pronounced. And let's just try to get rid of most of it so you can see how much it basically fades the look of the dirt that you've applied. So this is full and this is nearly invisible. So that's a nice feature that you can kind of adjust that as you go along. There are some other utilities that you can mess around with. These are the specific utilities for the dirty geoshell, options that we've been playing with. So these are the stain bottom, the splash bottom, the dripping, the dirty, all of these. These are the utilities that go along with that. So you can tile it, which means you're changing the size of that dirt and how big or small it appears on the pants. So let's just double click and check these out and see if we're seeing any difference. Not particularly, no. Probably is different, but I'm just not seeing it. Then there's the vertical offset and the horizontal offset, and it's probably easier to see when we look later at the ripped options. So you can also reset anything you've done with the offsets by double clicking this item here. Let's take a look and try a different geoshell. I'm going to just apply another one. I selected the pants and applied another one to the pants. I'm going to uncheck this one because I just want to have a clean slate here. I'm going to select the geoshell in the Scene tab. I'm going to select it also in the Surfaces tab. For the ripped section, the really important key to remember, in fact, I'd write this down. You cannot actually apply it to a geoshell. You just need to apply the cutouts directly to the item itself. You literally just pick what you want to rip and then double click it and make sure your main item, in this case, the Verse Moi pants, are selected. So I'm going to double click on that. And now you can see there are the cutouts that are directly applied to the item itself. And now, if I wanted to, I could go back. Let's say I want to pick a different fabric. I could actually pick a fabric from this shader set or a fabric color from the original Verse Moi set, or any other kind of shader set that you have in your collection. So in this case, I think I'll just choose leather scratched. So it looks like leather. Actually, let me use leather gray so it's a little easier to see. So if you notice, applying that got rid of my rips. So let's see if after doing that, we can go back and apply them again. Yep, there they are. Great. Perfect. If you want to play around with how the rips are looking, where they are located, like this is like right up in the crotch area. So if I wanted to, I could offset this. I could offset it with horizontal or vertical. So let's see what happens when I do that. So let's try 0.5 so we can see a big difference, hopefully. Yep, that's a very big difference. Totally different the way it's set up. So I'm going to undo that. Now you notice it got rid of the rips altogether when I hit undo. And when I hit undo, I hit Control Z. So that's the classic keystroke for undoing if you weren't aware of that. So now I've got to go back, and this particular quirk of this product only happens sometimes. Like sometimes you can undo it. So if you want to undo something with this particular product, this isn't very usual. I would just go up to edit and then see what it's actually saying was the last thing you did. And if it makes sense to undo it there, undo it there. So in this case, I want to go back and apply that rip again. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to go back to utilities and start playing around with some horizontal offsets. Okay, that moved it a bit. Now you can reset the offset. So I'm going to do that. Okay, now it's back to normal. I'm going to try vertical again. Okay, now it's really in the crotch area, so I'm going to undo that. And if you notice, there is a reset for just horizontal changes that you've made. There's an all reset for all horizontal and vertical, and the vertical should be here somewhere. I'm not actually seeing a undo for that for some reason. Oh, here it is. Ripped offset vertical reset. Not sure why it's down there, but okay, so essentially this will help you kind of play around with moving things, and the arrows help to kind of give you a sense of which direction things are going to go. So yeah, so just keep it like that for now. And then you can also change the tiling to make the rips, I think, bigger and smaller, but yeah, some of them will not look that great. It really just depends on, I would just try them all out and see what they do. That's kind of cool. I like that. So that gives you a sense of how the ripped goes. Now remember, again, the dirty, grungy threads are that you have to apply them to the geo shell, and then you can start playing around with the colors and the tiling and the offset and all of that. So the ripped, you do not apply that to the geo shell because that opacity has to be adjusted directly on the item itself. Now let's see what happens if I change the opacity. Whoa, see, that doesn't really work. You can't play with that. It's like it's been applied by the shader set, grungy threads, but you can't actually like adjust the opacity of the cutouts because it's going to get rid of everything on that product because you've applied it directly to the main product. Okay, so hopefully that is pretty clear here. So let's look at the wrinkled set. Okay, so all of the settings for the wrinkles are up top, and then you can also remove bump and remove displacement if you want. There's also tiling in here, displacement, strength. I won't go into the details of like what each of these are. Bump, though, is kind of how pronounced the wrinkle is. So let's see what happens if I try to apply the wrinkle directly to this item. Okay, so it doesn't change the color, it just adds wrinkles. Let's do a really heavy bump, or so it'll be a really, whoops, I clicked out of it, a really heavy wrinkle. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, you can definitely see the wrinkles. I'm going to zoom in so it's easier to see. Okay, so here's a light bump, a light wrinkle, and then a light normal, which is a little more pronounced. Let's go jump up here to the heavy displacement. Okay, it just looks more pronounced. Heavy normal. Okay, so you can change around the tiling too, and the strength. So the strength, there's a normal strength would be 5. Let's try making it go down. Normal strength 1. Then let's do some tiling. Okay, that makes it a little smaller. Going up in the numbers makes it even smaller. So 5 by 5 looks way smaller than, 1 by 1. So let me show you that again. Here's 1 by 1. It's more pronounced. And then the normal tile is, the wrinkles are much smaller. So that gives you a sense of how the wrinkles work. And again, there are actual fabrics in here that you can choose to play around with. Some of them actually look pretty cool. Like I like that there's a fabric base that's dirty, and it just looks basically like it's got some dirt on it. Hopefully you can tell from your screen. Then there's a fabric base that's wrinkled, so it's kind of the same color but wrinkled. There's some crazy stuff like some blood, some graffiti, so that might work for some products or projects. I quite like this one. This one would look pretty cool, you know, for like a dystopian type of outfit. Some of these are really pronounced colors, like really bright. So I don't know if I'd use these personally based on the kind of work that I do, but you know, something like this might be cool. I like the leather ones. This product actually has some nice looking leather. Like, let me zoom in for you. So you can see the leather. It actually really does look like leather. I like that. That is a scratched gray leather. Then here's a darker, more brownish one. That's scratched, it says. And then there's a scuffed one. This one looks more like a painter's pant or something. Kind of like some kind of leggings here that you might find in the gym. So there's some cool options. So you can play around with those fabrics. And again, there's like different, I guess you could probably apply this. I wonder what that would look like. Oh, interesting. It actually applies the color of the grease. And that would be the mud color, the dry. Oh, that's nice. Whoa. Okay, that's a bit much. That's trash stains. Then there's, wow, blood. Darker for the dried blood. And these will be white for the bleach. Anyway, this gives you a general idea of how this works. And again, if you go down into the utilities scripts area, you can see these scripts that will actually, if you double click on them, will open up as like JPEG images with far more information about more complex customizations that you can do. You can sort of layer your geoshells to do different things. You can really customize where the rips are in a pair of pants, that kind of thing. But this should hopefully get you in the right direction in terms of like how to use the basic settings for the dirty, the ripped, and the wrinkled. All right. Good luck and have fun experimenting with this product. Once you kind of get the hang of it, and remember that you always have to go to the Surfaces tab and select the actual geoshell or the pants, depending on what you're working with. That will help a bunch and alleviate some potential frustration. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you liked what you have been hearing, please feel free to like and subscribe, and you can hit that little bell to get all of our posts when they arrive. All right, thanks. Have a good day.